Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I never thought a simple Friday evening could feel like walking on a tightrope over a pit of fire. My name is James. I'm 38, and I've been married to Claire for 12 years. On the surface, we seem like the perfect couple. Friends said we were relationship goals. We laughed together, traveled together, shared bills, dreams, and even the occasional stupid argument that ended in makeup kisses. But nothing could prepare me for the night. Claire decided to test me in a way I would never forget. It started subtly, like a whisper at the edge of sanity. Claire's best friends, all divorced women with sharp tongues and stories of betrayal, had been nagging her for months. James is too good to let go, but is he loyal? One of them had said over brunch, a mischievous glint in her eyes. You should see if he really values you. Do something dramatic. At the time, I laughed it off when Claire relayed the conversation. I thought it was just harmless banter, a silly suggestion from bitter friends. Then came the text. I first noticed him around 8 p.m. on a Thursday. From an unknown number. Hey, I met Claire yesterday. She's amazing. Coffee tomorrow. My chest tightened. I reread it. My stomach churned, but I refused to reply. Surely it was spam. Over the next few days, the messages escalated, more personal, more suggestive. I started noticing Claire acting off. She would look at her phone with a sly smile, then quickly hide it when I walked in. She laughed at jokes she had already told me, lingered longer on social media than usual, and occasionally mentioned a co-worker named Ethan, though never directly to me. I felt in my gut something was wrong. By Saturday evening, she suggested we meet friends for drinks. I agreed, masking the worry curling inside me. As we arrived, I noticed a man at the bar who seemed to glance at Claire a little too often, a little too knowingly. My heart pounded, a mix of fear and anger. I didn't recognize him, but Claire's friend seemed almost too pleased to see me notice. Later, while Claire went to the restroom, one of her friends, Melissa, the ringleader, leaned in and whispered, "You're handling this well. Most men would explode by now." I nodded, but my mind was racing. Explode? What was she talking about? When Claire returned, she was radiant, glowing even, with a hint of mischief I didn't recognize. She handed me a note, casually, as if it were part of a game. It read, "I'm seeing someone else. Don't try to contact me." My hands shook. I laughed nervously, thinking it had to be a joke. But Claire's expression was too serious. Her friends were watching, their eyes sharp and calculating. I spent the next hour in a blur, trying to piece together the puzzle. I called her, texted, even sent a frantic WhatsApp. Nothing. It was like she had vanished into a parallel world where I no longer existed. My mind went to dark places, imagining months of betrayal, lies whispered behind my back, secret rendezvous. All I could think about was Ethan, that phantom co-worker, and the note that felt like a dagger twisting in my chest. Finally, I confronted her home. "Claire, what is going on? Is this some kind of joke?" Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "James, calm down. You have to trust me." My trust felt like a fragile vase, shattered in slow motion. "Trust you?" I asked, voice shaking. "You're telling me you're seeing someone else." She hesitated, glanced at her friends who were now casually sipping wine in the living room. Then she smirked, a hint of triumph in her eyes. "It's complicated. I want to see how far you go, how loyal you really are." I stared at her, disbelief crashing over me like a tidal wave. You set this up?" "Yes. My friends, they said I should test you. I wanted to know if I could count on you." I sank onto the couch, my heart still racing, my mind grappled with the betrayal of trust layered over the love I had believed in for more than a decade. Was I angry? Confused? Humiliated? All of it and more. I couldn't decide. For the rest of the evening, I watched her and her friends, their laughter a cold soundtrack to my unraveling patience. The man at the bar never existed. All fabricated. But the emotional toll? Real. Every scenario I had imagined, infidelity, humiliation, rejection, had been thrust upon me as if my mind alone had created it. By the time Claire finally came to sit beside me, late at night, I was exhausted. "James, are you okay?" she asked softly. But I couldn't answer. How do you respond when love becomes a weapon? When trust is a game? When the person you thought you knew has orchestrated theater of your worst fears just to see if your heart is loyal enough? I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, replaying every moment, every text, every glance, trying to decipher what was real and what had been orchestrated. And the worst part? The worst part was that I still loved her, fiercely, despite the torment she had put me through. The storm wasn't over, not by a long shot. I realized then that this wasn't just a test of loyalty. It was a battle of wills, a psychological chess match I hadn't agreed to play. And somewhere, deep down, I knew that when the final moves came, nothing would be the same again. The morning after, I woke with a weight pressing against my chest, a mix of rage, confusion, and disbelief. Claire was making coffee like nothing had happened, her movements precise, almost rehearsed. I stared at her, the words from the night before echoing in my mind. "It's complicated. I want to see how far you go." I felt a bitter twist in my stomach. Love, I realized, could be cruel when wielded as a test. I tried to speak, but nothing came out. My voice had vanished somewhere between hurt and incredulity. She noticed, tilted her head, and smiled softly. "You're thinking a lot, I can tell, but you passed. You stayed calm, you didn't explode, you trusted me." I laughed, a hollow sound, shaking my head. "Passed? You call this passing? You staged a fake affair to see if I'd, what? Punch the guy? Break down? Lose my mind? That's what you call love." Her expression faltered for a moment, just enough for me to see a flicker of uncertainty behind the calculated facade. Then she recovered, sipping her coffee. "James, I had to know. Your loyalty matters more than you think. My friends, they said too many marriages fall apart over little things. I needed certainty." Certainty. The word echoed in my ears. The thing about certainty, I realized, is that it doesn't require humiliation, deception, or manipulation. Loyalty, trust, and love shouldn't be tested with fear and anguish. And yet here I was, sitting across from the woman I had vowed to love, who had weaponized my emotions. I got up abruptly, pacing the kitchen. "You don't get it, Claire. You've turned love into a trap. You've made me doubt myself, made me question every interaction we've ever had. And for what? A demonstration? A stunt?" Her face softened. I didn't want to hurt you. I needed to know. Everyone says I'm too trusting, too naive, and I couldn't risk that. I needed proof." I stopped, my eyes narrowing. "Proof? You had me terrified. I felt betrayed, humiliated. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. And you call that proof of love?" She didn't answer immediately. She just looked down, twisting her fingers around the coffee mug. The silence stretched uncomfortably, thick with tension, until I could no longer contain the flood of thoughts in my head. "Claire," I said slowly, carefully, "this isn't just about loyalty. You've pushed me to the edge, tested the boundaries of my patience and my trust. And for what? To satisfy your friends' paranoia? Their bitterness? That's not love. That's manipulation." Her eyes filled with tears, genuine this time, not the calculated performance of last night. I didn't know how else to be sure. I thought you'd never cheat, but I had to see if you'd stay, no matter what. I didn't think about the cost to you." The truth hit me harder than any fake betrayal could. She hadn't considered my feelings, my heart, my mental state, the nights I spent lying awake imagining the worst. It didn't matter. What mattered was her test. And in that moment, I realized something crucial. Love isn't measured by tests or games. It's measured by respect, trust, and care. She had trampled all three under the guise of proving my loyalty. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "Claire, I love you. I do. But love like this, love that needs testing, love that requires humiliation, it's not sustainable. I won't live in fear of phantoms you created." She looked up, panic and regret mixing in her gaze. "James, I thought if I pushed you, we'd be stronger. that we'd survive this and be closer. I shook my head slowly. No, what you've done has broken something fundamental. Trust isn't something you can rebuild by saying sorry after the damage is done. You can't manufacture respect, and you can't force love by scaring the person who gives it freely. Hours passed in silence. We didn't speak. I watched her, the woman I had shared my life with, sitting there, vulnerable, tearful, remorseful, but also, undeniably, the orchestrator of a personal hell. Finally, I spoke, my voice calm but firm. We need space, Claire. Real space. Not the kind where one of us hides secrets or tests the other. Time to think. Time to decide if we can survive this, or if it's already too late. She nodded, tears streaming freely now, understanding the gravity of what she had done. No more games, no more tests. The damage was done, and the only thing left was to face the consequences. In the weeks that followed, the tension between us was almost tangible. Every glance carried a memory of last week's terror. Every word was measured, careful, loaded with caution. I didn't act impulsively. I didn't lash out. But inside, I was changed. I couldn't unsee what had happened. Couldn't undo the fear and doubt she had forced upon me. Eventually, we had the conversation we both needed. Honest, brutal, and real. We discussed boundaries, trust, and how far a friend's influence had extended. We spoke about loyalty, not as a test, but as a mutual choice, something nurtured daily, not proved through manipulation. And as painful as the truth was, it revealed a hard lesson. Love cannot thrive on games. Loyalty cannot be measured by fear. And trust once fractured requires more than words to heal. The prank had ended, but the scars it left would linger, a reminder that even the strongest relationships can falter when respect and care are sacrificed for curiosity and influence. By the time the sun set over our neighborhood, I realized something crucial. I still loved her, but love alone would not be enough. If we were to survive, we would have to rebuild, together, cautiously, with no more tests, no more pranks, and no more shadows between us. And in that fragile hope, I found a strange peace, a sense that even in betrayal, lessons could be learned and perhaps forgiveness could be possible.